Darth, Theorist, rise.
What if Anakin Skywalker started the Empire? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Anakin stands over the corpse of the CIS Council, extinguishing his lightsaber as he approaches the droid army's control console. The data chip in his hand weighs heavily as he contemplates his next move. Palpatine had provided him with everything he needed to finish off the CIS once and for all. These codes have the shutdown order for their droids, ending the war in a single stroke. If he does this, he will be a hero, or so Palpatine tells him. And yet, he hesitates. It would also make him a slave to Palpatine, forever indebted to him and bound to his plans more than ever. His mind already blazes from the chaos of the Jedi Temple. While he is still furious with the Jedi Order, a part of him also remains guilty for what he had done to them. He still thinks back to those younglings he had slaughtered. Their wails still echo in his ears. Now, he struggles to finally insert the chip. Taking a deep breath, he makes himself think about what he's doing. Truly think about it. All of this is part of some grander scheme Palpatine has created. There is no way he would have these shutdown orders unless he was involved with Dooku. That means everything the Count has done throughout the Clone Wars can also be pinned on the Chancellor, and that gives him a pause. There is no guarantee that this plan will bring peace and security, unless he can guarantee it. Rather than end the droids, he drops the chip to the ground and begins to rewrite their code. He will not simply destroy them. Anakin has other plans. He quickly slips out as he sees its ship approaching. Padme steps out and pleads with Anakin to come back with her.
Please, Annie. You don't have to follow the Chancellor's plans. Whatever he's asking you, you must realize it is wrong.
Padme, I know I've done terrible things. Many things that I'm not proud of, but I need you to listen to me now. I do not intend to follow the Chancellor. I plan on stopping him. I realize he's using me, and I cannot trust him. But I have a plan.
Padme's eyes widen in surprise. Hope soars into her heart as she sees that the man she knew is not fully gone. And just as she thinks that, Obi-Wan steps out, cautious and having heard everything. His lightsaber at his hip, but he does not reach for it yet. Anakin's eyes narrow at the sight, questioning what he is doing here. When he looks at Padme, he is inquiring, wondering whether she knows about this. But for now, he places himself between his master and reaches for his own weapon.
What are you doing here, my master?
I'm here to see what mission Palpatine has sent you on. Have you truly gotten so lost that you are now doing his bidding?
He isn't Master Kenobi. Anakin's told me that now.
Really now? So what is it that you intend to do?
His master is distrustful, venom dripping from his voice as he says it all. Anakin tenses, taking offense to it, but for now he remains silent. An idea begins to spring in his mind to finally be rid of his troublesome master, but for now he decides to play along.
Palpatine wishes for me to shut down the CIS army and end the war. With that, it will destroy any force that can still challenge him. I didn't do that. Though the CIS Council is gone, I have the command codes. I can use them to destroy him.
Use the droids? Are you mad? How do you intend to do that? They are scattered across the galaxy, fighting our own men. If you move them anywhere, the clones will know and think you are a traitor. And that is all assuming I will even let you try this foolhardy plan.
Because you know that we cannot defeat Palpatine alone. And the longer he remains in power, the more difficult it will be to remove him. Besides, we don't need to move the whole army. There are still thousands of droids on Coruscant, all waiting to be dismantled. I am sure many of them are still in working order. We can use those instead to create an opening.
Anakin, that is a risky move. If this fails, you risk being made an enemy of the Republic. You will become a fugitive and be hunted down.
Any course of action I do beyond giving Palpatine exactly what he wants will make me a traitor in his eyes. At least this time we have a chance.
Suddenly, the senator doubles over and clutches her chest. Her eyes widen as she lets out a cry.
The babies. The babies are coming.
Master, you must believe me. If nothing else, then you know that I love Padme more than anything, and I will never let anything happen to her. Don't stop me now. Not when she's like this.
His voice carries such raw emotion that Obi-Wan hesitates. It isn't the sound of a power-hungry man hell-bent on conquest, but a man desperate to save his wife. Slowly, Obi-Wan lowers his weapon and helps Padme to the ship. The two make their way to the nearest medical station, where they give Padme the best treatment they can. But while Anakin is relieved to see it, a small part of him begins to burn up in anger. Questions gnawed his chest, setting his heart alight like a lump of coal. What was Obi-Wan doing on Padme's ship? Although his master assured him that she had no idea, he remains distrustful. How could he trust a man who was seconds away from attacking him? With Palpatine having already played him, Anakin is already on edge. He does not know who he can truly trust anymore, and that fear begins to eat away at him. While Obi-Wan is focused on Padme, he begins to enact his plan. Despite all his doubts and fears, one thing is certain in his mind, and that is Palpatine will not get away with this. He fully intends to oust him, but while Padme and Obi-Wan might believe he is going to restore the Senate, he has something else in mind. He begins to type in the command codes for the droids on Coruscant. Thousands of still active signals respond in scattered incinerators across the planet. Anakin sees thousands of battle droids, hordes of destroyer and spider droids, a legion of super battle droids, scores of commando droids, and even a few gunships. Anakin types the commands that activate them all. In the incinerators, workers all cry out in surprise as they watch the droids they were tasked with disposing of starting to rise up and take arms again. They retrieve fallen weapons and fire upon the maintenance crews. This forces them to scramble for cover and flee or be cut down. Some frightened techs manage to report this to the Coruscant Guard, who organize a response. They have no idea how these droids are reactivated and suspect that it is a virus in their systems. While the engineers try to figure that out, the clones focus on destroying them. Entire battalions are sent to these plants to contain the sudden uprise and to prevent panic. But while most of the droids engage the clones, a handful slip through the gaps in their defenses and make their way over to the real target. The night is silent over the Chancellor's residence. The Coruscant skyline glimmers with traffic and light, but beyond the quiet hum of speeders, shadows move. A squad of commando droids advance through service tunnels and scale the marble supports of the building. Their photoreceptors glow faintly red as they breach a maintenance hatch and crawl inside. They follow the coordinates provided to them by the new command codes, and as they draw near, they ready their blasters. The guards there quickly take out the clone guards and fan through the gilded halls of the Chancellor's residence. A muffled snap of a neck, a silent vibroblade thrust, and the clones assigned to watch the building fall one by one. At the heart of the residence, Palpatine stirs. He senses them the moment they enter his sanctum. He ignites his crimson blade and watches as their photoreceptors glow faintly in the dim light.
Target acquired.
Blaster fire erupts, filling the chamber with strobing red light. Sidious deflects each bolt with contemptuous ease, his blade a blur of scarlet arcs. When ranged weapons fail, some draw vibroblades and rush at him, but this is a mistake. He carves through the first wave, sending limbs and metal flying across the room. The commando droid leaps at him with twin vibroblades, but Sidious snarls, hurling it into the wall with a burst of lightning. The others surge forward, but Palpatine sidesteps them and continues to hack them down. And yet, for all his mastery, the droids do not retreat. They press him, forcing him to stand his ground, keeping him occupied in a storm of fire and steel. A shadow passes over the skylight above. The Sith Lord looks up, too late. A droid gunship crashes through the transparasteel dome, engines screaming. This ship had been the one to transport the droids, and now makes its own attack. Its hull already burns, riddled with clone fire from the streets below. But its course is set. With one final roar, it smashes into the chamber. The explosion swallows the Chancellor's residence in fire. Towers tremble, windows shatter for blocks, and a plume of smoke rises high above the Senate district. The Chancellor is no more. By dawn, there is quiet as the attacks die down as quickly as they began. Most of the droids are cut down, but others simply halt. Their new orders override their attack, leaving them returning to base or going into hiding. Clone patrols secure the wreckage, dragging the remains of the droids from their shelters. But the other reason is mourning and shock as news spreads of the Chancellor's death. It is then that Anakin Skywalker returns. At his side walks Obi-Wan Kenobi, wary from tending to Padme, who remains in the medical center, unaware of what awaits. He is told that they will use the droid forces to storm the Senate chambers and confront the Chancellor. Yet, as they land, Obi-Wan watches as droids begin to slip out from the shadows. Commando droids, spider droids, and a small army of battle droids. Their blasters immediately trained on Obi-Wan.
Arrest him.
Obi-Wan's eyes widen as the droids surge forward, seizing his arms and wrenching his lightsaber away.
Anakin, what are you doing?
I have discovered these droids that assassinated the Chancellor were programmed by Obi-Wan Kenobi himself. He sought to assassinate the Chancellor and overthrow the Republic, as did the rest of the Jedi. But I uncovered his treachery, and I have taken him into custody.
He raises this to his comlink, and soon a squad of Coruscant Guard come to arrest him. Gasps ripple through the crowd of senators and onlookers as Anakin transmits his story. Obi-Wan tries to resist, but several guards fire their stun rounds into him and drag his unconscious body away. Many of the senators are skeptical about this, but none of them dares challenge what they hear. Anakin had been one of Palpatine's strongest allies. He had defended him and served as a protege in all but name. Challenging him would be difficult. He is also an accomplished war hero and a powerful Force user. None of that even mentions the control of the droid army and clones who will follow his lead. The sight of the droids standing idle, awaiting Anakin's command, drives his words home. None dares challenge him as he presents this story to the Senate.
The Jedi were never guardians of peace. They are conspirators, traitors who would destroy us from within. The Chancellor's death leaves us vulnerable, but I will not allow chaos to consume the Republic. With the loyalty of the Grand Army and the strength to command even our enemy's droids, I will ensure security.
The Senate has no choice. The clone army stands with him. The droids, impossibly under his control, obey his every signal. With fear and desperation pressing them, the senators cast their votes. Anakin Skywalker is granted emergency powers, power without limitation. From the ashes of Palpatine's rule, a new emperor rises. Yet when Padme hears of this from her medical chamber, rather than being pleased, she is shocked. She sees how Anakin has betrayed Obi-Wan for the sake of his power. To her, that is confirmation that he has turned his back on what he believes in. By doing that, he has become everything he's trying to destroy. Although a ship is sent to pick her up and transport her to Coruscant to serve as Anakin's empress, she refuses and tries to sneak out. Instead, she disappears into the galaxy and leaves her husband heartbroken. Anakin does not take any of this well. He rages and weeps, spending days in his chambers mourning her loss. But it isn't just her departure that hits him. It's the ideas that his mind conjures up in the aftermath. By now, he sees this as confirmation of Padme's betrayal, that she was working with Obi-Wan all this time, that he had turned her against him. Those thoughts are enough to almost break him, but somehow the young Jedi clings on. Instead, he focuses his attention on his new empire, intent on proving everyone else wrong and showing that he can build a galaxy of peace and security. The first thing he focuses on is ending the Clone Wars, which proves to be remarkably easy. Although many of the droid forces remained entrenched in the Outer Rim, control over their command codes allows him to alter that in just a few new orders. Suddenly, all the droid forces stand down, allowing the clones to advance into their citadels unopposed and capture whoever might remain of the Separatists. With most of the CIS Council dead, the remnants of the droid leadership are their parliament, who mostly fight for succession and other legitimate grievances. Many offer to negotiate and surrender, but Anakin is not inclined to grant them mercy. A handful are spared, those whom Padme had spoken highly of. The rest are imprisoned, or, if they try to speak out or resist, simply executed. And in less than a month, the war comes to an end. The people are jubilant, at last feeling like Theory can push this dark chapter behind them and begin rebuilding. Anakin is not among them, as he knows there is still much more that needs to be done after all this. If the Senate has its way, it will urge Anakin to disarm the droids and allow the clones to remain the sole military of the Republic. However, Anakin does not do that. While the war might be over, he still senses much turmoil in the galaxy. He says as much during a fiery speech.
The Senate would have me set my army's blasters aside and reprogram the droid forces for peaceful purposes. They say this is due to their desire to demilitarize, but I have my issues with such a request. While the war is over, we have yet to cure the symptoms of it. For as long as I can remember, senators have gotten fat off the suffering of others. They ignore our plight until a war like this is inevitable, but now they expect me to just put aside my weapon and pretend like it never happened. Well, I will tell you that I will not. For as long as the corruption of the Senate thrives, we will never know peace. Therefore, with my emergency powers, I will see that this corruption is purged.
This news completely silences the galaxy, leaving everyone from the highest senators to the lowliest gutter rats staring at the HoloNet, wondering what this might mean. Even from his prison cell, Obi-Wan hears this, while from her hideout on Tatooine, so does Padme. And yet, it is more than just words. Anakin soon puts this all to action, as he begins a Senate-wide investigation regarding corruption. Soon enough, droids begin to storm Senate houses, clones storm the banking clan headquarters for data, and Senate assets are seized. All of that is to build a case against corrupt senators. Many of those officials cry corruption and government overreach. They point out how unethical these actions are, but their cries fall on deaf ears as Anakin has no one to hold him accountable. Worse still is the fact that few of the people even care. Many of them know of their senator's occupation, and when they see Anakin's troops breaking into their houses, dragging them off to prison, or executing them, they cheer. For them, this is justice long coming, and Anakin Skywalker proves that he is a hero. They all rally behind their new emperor, giving their support to him, and some even come forward with evidence of their own to prove this corruption. Once these trials come to an end, a majority of the Senate find themselves behind bars, or dead, with a fraction of the Senate deemed trustworthy. From there, Anakin begins redeploying his army. His clones and droids are sent across the Outer Rim to facilitate the rebuilding and to punish anyone who thinks of taking advantage of the chaos. They hunt down bandits, crime syndicates, and holdouts for the Republic or the CIS. Anakin personally leads these counterinsurgency efforts. His skills remain flawless as ever, as droids and enemy soldiers fall to him like flies. A big part of this is Anakin's attunement to the Force. This leaves his foes without any serious way to counter him. However, at the same time, Anakin's skills begin to plateau. Without a master to train him, he is left to study on his own. He raids the archives and databanks of both the Jedi Temple and Palpatine's private quarters for more knowledge and tries to make use of it. He spends many months deciphering their teachings and understanding the powers of the Force. In particular, he begins to study the research of Darth Plagueis that was left behind after he died. While he is intrigued and throws himself into this endeavor, Anakin struggles with learning on his own. Without a master to guide him and help shape these powers, he's unable to fully comprehend and understand the works he is reading. He struggles to delve into the full philosophy of the text he is reading. But these are not the only issues he has to face. With his purges seeing immense success, some people begin to question when it will become time to demilitarize and decommission his droids. The holdouts remain, but their power is feeble, and few truly consider them a threat. Even some of the surviving crime syndicates like the Hutts and the Shadow Collective have fled to the shadows, keeping out of Anakin's reach. Even the people also question how long it will take for this new empire to at last achieve the security and peace that Anakin promises. Many do not fully realize that the answer is never. Not even Anakin, while he truly believes in his mission. The idealistic young man that Palpatine tempted is long gone. He is replaced with a cold, distrustful emperor who sees threats wherever there are shadows. He treats the question of demilitarization as a sign of his enemies trying to weaken his power, and he has spies observe those who suggest it and see which ones need to be removed. In time, he begins to declare those who speak of such things as traitors. The problem is, it isn't just the Senate that says things like that anymore. Now even some of the regular citizens are also questioning this. They observe how the clones and droids continue to patrol the streets, how there are so many security measures to do simple tasks like traveling or doing business, and how they constantly spot patrols of soldiers in the streets. For some in the Outer Rim, it appears as though the CIS occupation never ended. In time, factions begin to emerge that secretly oppose Anakin. Among these are reformer senators like Bail Organa, who wish to bring back democracy practices in the Empire. Then there is the military wing commanded by Governor Tarkin, who sees Anakin's ideas as legitimate and important, but finds the Jedi himself unfit for leadership. And soon it becomes impossible for some to ignore. The Senate chamber is hushed. Anakin stands at its center, his black cloak draped over his Jedi tunic. Around him, rows of senators whisper in uneasy tones. Then Bail Organa rises.
Emperor Skywalker, you claim to seek peace and justice, but peace cannot be won with endless patrols in the streets, nor justice delivered by executions without trial. The people whisper in fear that they cannot even live their lives without being harassed. The empire you promised them is beginning to resemble the republic they thought they left behind. Or worse, the CIS.
The words ripple through the chamber like a blade. A few senators murmur in agreement. Others recoil in dread, too afraid to speak out.
You accuse me of tyranny, Senator Organa. I accuse you of forgetting the very ideas you've once fought for, of forgetting what peace truly means. You may have the loyalty of the army, but no sword, no blaster, no army can replace the will of the people. Already systems grow restless, and no amount of executions will snuff it out.
The chamber explodes in voices, some outraged, some terrified. Anakin lifts his hand, and the noise dies instantly. As the Senate is dismissed, Senator Organa is arrested later on, supposedly for traffic violations, but he knows the truth. The Alderaan man looks at the commando droids who approach him. Clones march forward, seizing Bail. He does not resist, his expression calm, his eyes defiant as they bind his hands. Hours later, Bail is aboard a prisoner convoy, escorted by a squad of TIE fighters through the Council's upper atmosphere before disappearing towards the Citadel, where the Senator will be held. And then halfway through, as the ships prepare to refuel, the sky erupts in fire. Mandalorian fighters descend in a swarm, their angular wings slicing through the clouds. Blaster fire racks across the convoy, crippling one of the escorts and sending it spiraling into the depths below. The clones scramble to respond, but the Mandalorians descend with jetpacks ignited and board the transport ship. The gunship carrying Bail shudders, its engines failing under concentrated fire, leaving it dead in space. Mandalorians breach the hull. Explosions echo as the prisoner bay doors are blown open. Bale is pulled free by armored hands and carried aboard a waiting freighter. One of the surviving clone gunners yells into his comms.
We have visuals. Surveillance confirms the Mandalorians aren't alone. We spotted her. Senator Amidala is with them.
The footage spreads across the holonet within hours of Padme leading the rescue team. Accompanied by a group of insurgents, the galaxy gasps. The senator of Naboo, presumed in hiding, is revealed as a leader of the rebellion. Tarkin wastes no time. In a meeting with the military governors, he points to the holoprojection.
Skywalker arrests senators, but he cannot silence his own wife. He sends armies against traitors, but spares the one who stands at their head. Such indecision cannot be allowed to continue. The galaxy needs a leader of iron will, not one who falters at the sight of his former queen.
Anakin, meanwhile, seethes. In his private chambers, he replays the holo recordings. Padme's face, calm, determined, radiant as ever. It haunts him. He clutches the edge of the console until metal bends beneath his grip. When the military council urges him to order a full assault on Mandalore and its systems as punishment, Anakin agrees, and his fleet soon descends upon the Mandalorian holdings and their allies, striking hard upon their hidden bases and colonies. All of these are subjected to brutal bombardment. Yet, for once, they find people willing to fight back. The Mandalorians prove to be ferocious fighters, engaging Anakin across all a dozen planets at once and using hit-and-run attacks to take them down. These are highly effective in scattering his forces and making him fight for every inch of ground. In retaliation, Anakin unleashes the full fury of his fleet, raining fire down upon them and leaving nothing, all except for one battle on Concordia, where his men learn about a fighter base and his troops are deployed. Yet here, his orders are curiously restrained. Bombardments fall short of full annihilation. The gunships hold formation too long, leaving escape corridors open. And when his own starfighter joins the battle, Anakin cuts down Mandalorian warriors with ferocity, but never strikes the command bunker, where Padme is seen rallying her fighters. And she eventually escapes on the last transport. For the first time, the Emperor hesitates, and the galaxy notices. Soon enough, Tarkin realizes that the time is right. He gathers a contingent of officers loyal to him and their clones and other soldiers. They are the only ones he can trust, as the droids cannot be trusted due to their programming, but he has a way to deal with them. Governor Tarkin stands in a secure command room beneath the Senate chamber, his hands folded behind his back. At his signal, engineers activate the weapons hidden for months beneath the streets, an electroproton bomb. The detonation is silent, just a low hum that rolls across the district like a ripple in the Force. In seconds, every electronic device in the Senate sector freezes, photoreceptors flickering out. Commando droids, super battle droids, even spider droids stationed as guards, all collapse into inert heaps. Anakin, in his palace overlooking the Senate dome, feels it instantly. His own mechanical hand begins to malfunction. Across the Senate floor, Tarkin seizes the moment. His men rush through the Senate chambers, disarming the guards who might resist, as he forces his way into the rotunda to confront the people.
The Emperor has lost control of his forces. He hesitates and allows terrorists to escape. Why? Because of his personal attachments. He is no longer fit to rule. By the laws of the Republic, I call for Order 65.
The vote is swift, fear and opportunism driving trembling hands. The Senate turns. Many of them had never liked Anakin, and his increasing authoritarian rule has them scared. With the vote cast, Anakin Skywalker is stripped of his powers and branded a traitor. Clone battalions flood the palace within the hour. Anakin cuts through them in flashes of blue, his saber weaving death. But with one hand disabled, he is not at his full power, and for every squad he defeats, another arrives. Eventually, as they bring their heavy weapons, he is forced to flee the planet. In the Outer Rim, Mandalorian scouts pick up his trail. Yoda, hidden among their allies, senses him.
He still burns with darkness, but worse will rise if Tarkin rules.
Anakin regroups on a planet still friendly to him. Yet, without many soldiers, there isn't a lot the planet can do beyond simply waiting for reinforcements. Unfortunately, those that arrive aren't droids, as Tarkin has secured the command codes for himself. Instead, several Mandalorian starfighters appear, revealing Padme and her guards. Anakin tenses when he sees her, but doesn't reach for his lightsaber.
So, you really are alive after all this time. How could you leave me like this? We could have ruled the galaxy together.
We could have. But you would have ruled it with tyranny. And I couldn't abide that, Annie. You know that.
So you left me.
I'm sorry. But I couldn't understand why you did this.
So why are you here now?
Because I don't want an empire, regardless of who's commanding it. You've done many bad things. but I'm sure Tarkin will be even worse. Whatever my feelings towards you, it would still be a better choice than him.
Then we're fighting together again.
Soon enough, Tarkin makes his move as he orders the execution of Obi-Wan Kenobi. The governor uses this as proof of Anakin's hesitation. They say that he will start by ensuring the Jedi Master cannot threaten anyone again. Obi-Wan, gaunt and wary from his captivity, is dragged to a scaffold in the Senate Plaza. Holocams swarm, broadcasting the event across the galaxy.
The last traitor Jedi who conspired to overthrow the Republic. Justice will be done.
The guillotine of energy blades hums above Obi-Wan's bowed head, but shadows move among the crowd. Padme Amidala, cloaked, whispers to Anakin at her side.
Our plan is simple. We strike here, free Obi-Wan, and then secure the command codes from the station orbiting Coruscant. If we control them, we control the army again.
Then Tarkin falls.
Padme nods, and their troops soon begin their attack. Mandalorians descend from the skies with jetpacks, roaring, blasting apart clone troopers. Once they get close, they lash out with cables and vibroblades that throw clones aside. Padme stands behind Anakin, tapping on her comlink and secretly sending instructions while she fires upon clones with her blaster. What Anakin does not see is the flicker of her holocommunicator, sending the signal elsewhere. With his arm back online, Anakin cuts through the clones with ease. He unleashes a wave of force energy that throws them back before reaching Obi-Wan.
Still saving you, old friend.
Obi-Wan doesn't say anything, but glares at his former Padawan. High above, aboard a hidden freighter, Yoda receives the data Padme sent. He leaps down onto the command center, which hovers off Coruscant on a space station. The clones there are in chaos, trying to focus their arrival on the new attackers. Because of that, Yoda easily throws the texts aside. All this time, Anakin never learned of his survival. After his failure to defeat Palpatine, he had barely escaped and intended to flee to rejoin the others. But Obi-Wan warned him against it. Now, it pays off as his lightsaber flashes and he unleashes a final force shockwave that clears the room. He inputs the final command. Across the galaxy, every droid linked to the codes powers down at once. The armies Anakin once commanded vanish into silence. On the ground, the balance shifts. With the droids gone, the clones turn to confusion. Mandalorians strike hard, and one of the Mandalorians fires his jetpack at Tarkin's fleeing ship. With that, his coup collapses in an instant. But Anakin does not celebrate. He's surrounded by raised blasters. For the first time, he has no army to call, no codes to command. Obi-Wan steps behind him, and Bail Organa appears, urging the Senate to stop Anakin now. Another makeshift voice is called, and they reinforce their stance of removing Anakin from office. He lowers his saber, and binders are snapped onto his wrists. His eyes lock with Padme's.
You betrayed me.
Her face is wet with tears, but her voice is steady.
No, Anakin. You betrayed me. You betrayed everything we stood for. You let your fears get the better of you. I couldn't let you fall any further.
The words cut deeper than any blade. As Anakin is led away in chains, the galaxy watches. This leaves the Senate free to begin reforming itself. Padme and Bail appear as the frontrunners once they are officially pardoned, while Obi-Wan and Yoda are tasked with guarding Anakin as they rebuild the Jedi Order, and the Republic begins undertaking much-needed reforms. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.